what's on my mind. And boy, is there a lot on my mind this morning, because human rights Twitter was all up on my case yesterday and the day before for comments that I made in this segment on Monday. So I had played clips, listeners, for those of you who didn't hear my comments on Monday in What's on My Mind. I had played clips from the public defender, Arlene Harrison Henry, saying that the security forces should destroy data from persons who are simply detained and released quickly under the states of public emergency in the interest of protecting people's privacy. And I strongly disagreed with her because I argued that, one, there's nothing illegal about what the police are doing, and they should continue to do it because it contributes to the success of the SOEs, which have in turn resulted in a significant reduction in murders. So if it's working, then you must continue doing what's working. Well, human rights Twitter was all up on my behind, even taking me on matters of fact. Can you imagine? You can debate me on opinions, but you can't debate facts. Well, the supposedly learned attorney Clyde Williams tweeted, "We are witnessing the normalization of rights infringement." To which I responded, "We are witnessing the normalization of far fewer murders." To which he dropped this F-bomb riddled response. "First, your comment is factually wrong. Second, both phenomena do not stand in opposition to each other. That you have conflated them reveals the fallacy in your argument, factually fallacious and logically fallacious." Now, Clyde Williams, you should know that as an attorney, you can't debate facts. You can't challenge me on facts. Same goes for journalists and my friend Zara Burton, who also asked me to reveal the source of my data for claiming that there have been far fewer murders under the SOE. And I responded to her that she should check Google because this has been widely reported. I didn't just make this up. Even Peter Bunting took me on, sending me a rather baffling message on WhatsApp saying, "Very disappointed in your comment about normalization of far fewer murders, which is very misleading. At the present rate, this year could end with the second highest number of homicides since 2010. And, I wasn't ignoring the message, Mr. Bunting. I really did want to respond. Yesterday was just a very, 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 very busy day for me. A lot of things going on, some partly to do with promoting my new TV show, which, by the way, listeners, please go check it out on YouTube. It's a show called Taking Stock with Kalila Reynolds. It's a business and finance-focused show, so please go watch that. But I figured I'd respond in the space today after I had time to, actually collect some of the clips to play them back for you to hear for yourselves. So for all those who missed all the press conferences and the painstaking delivery of data, the raw, hard facts, here's Police Commissioner Anthony Anderson on September 5 upon the declaration of the states of emergency in Clarendon and St. Catherine.
As has been demonstrated through previous and current SOEs, this methodology has been very effective in reducing violent crime. This is achieved while simultaneously reducing violent confrontation with the security forces. By way of update, we have seen reductions in murders in St. James, Westmoreland, and Hanover of 24%, 61%, and 50% respectively, when compared with the similar period prior to the declaration of the tri-parish SOE. Similarly, in St. Andrews South, there has been a 75% drop in murders when compared to the similar period before the state of emergency.
And at each press conference declaring a state of emergency, a new one, there has been, at the declaration of each state of emergency, there has been a press conference on that very day for about an hour or well in excess of an hour in which they give these very facts, data, which show definitively that there is a decline in murder under a state of public emergency. In addition, we had on this program Acting Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of crime, Fitz Bailey. We had him on I think it was last week, saying that the number of gang members that have been arrested under the states of emergency, that's also a measure of its success.
We have arrested significant amount of persons, and I want us to put things in perspective. Whilst we engage in the enhanced security measure, we have what we call dislocation of criminals. The gang cases that we have had, it's not coincidental that a lot of the arrests were made during the enhanced security measure. And we have never had the amount of gang cases. Over 100 members of different gangs were arrested.
You would have also heard in the 6 o'clock news package this morning, listeners, the Security Minister Horace Chang saying that more than 150 alleged gangsters have been arrested in St. Catherine and Clarendon just over the past 2 weeks since the state of emergency has been in effect in those two parishes. Now, the DPP had also joined that conversation, Paula Llewellyn, saying that the SOE is allowing for better police and citizen cooperation.
What it seems to be doing, from where I sit, is creating a space which helps to enhance the trust and confidence of citizens in some of these areas, which allows the citizens then to engage with the police in giving statements. Remember, because I find in the political discourse, in Jamaica we seem, and the media does it as well, we seem to be afraid to emphasize the fact that personal responsibility is important, not only in taking care of your children you cannot afford, but in also assisting the police in telling what you know.
And the DPP, who's a lady I respect very, very much, says over the last 2 years, it's the first time she's seen so many cases being tried under the anti-gang legislation.
Well, I have been DPP for 10 years, and we have had the gang legislation daily for what, about 4 or 5 years? 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
And it is the first time that I can say that on the number of case roster, we have nearly 14 cases. Most of these cases will have anything up to between 5 alleged gangsters and up to 14. We have one with 36. We are prosecuting one now that had 25. And it's the first time that I'm seeing that, and it's within the last 2 years.
So all of these data and facts showing that the SOEs work, that they are highly effective. And on that, you cannot debate me. You cannot debate me on fact. Now, to Peter Bunting's point about the number of murders this year being higher than last year, that is indeed true. But remember, Mr. Bunting, that is only because your party voted against the states of public emergency extension in St. James, and therefore it was not in effect between the latter part of January to the end of April, during which time the murder rate skyrocketed. So you can't vote down the SOE and then use the subsequent increase in murders to say SOEs don't work. We're a bit smarter than that, Mr. Bunting. We're not fooling her. We do our research. We do our reading. We're bright people. Now on to Human Rights Twitter crying about rights infringement. And by the way, I don't hear these vast reports about people being abused by the police under the states of public emergency. Oh, look, this one get beat up. This one get killed in police custody. Where this cry about rights infringement on the SOE, you're saying you don't want the police to keep your data. And I'm saying, but they must, because this is a state of emergency. Lest you forget what those words mean and why they have become absolutely necessary. So we say we want peace, right? We say we want peace, but what price are we willing to pay? It seems that you don't want to pay any price. But everybody knows that success requires sacrifice. No matter what you're doing, even if you're trying to lose weight, you can't lose weight and still want to eat up the KFC. It's not going to happen. Success requires great sacrifice. Great success requires great sacrifice. You can't want to be a billionaire and think that you're not going to have to give up your time, give up time with your family, to give up many things in order to achieve the great success that you desire. We want to see a country with far fewer murders, a country where we all feel safe. But we don't want to give up anything at all, not even our fingerprints. It doesn't work that way, though. The definition of insanity is to continue doing things the same way and expecting different results. So you want things to change, but you don't want to change. Yeah? You want to continue getting KFC at 11 o'clock, and you complain because you can't because of the state of public emergency. And to those saying, oh, it's because SOE hasn't hit Kingston 6 and Kingston 8 while you're okay with other people giving up their rights. Well, listen, if my Bay level murders hit Kingston 6, I would gladly give up any rights required of me. Here, take my fingerprint. You want it? If I couldn't walk across the street to take my baby to the park in the evening because of fear that we'd get caught in crossfire, I would gladly welcome police and soldiers on every street corner. Here, take my DNA too. If my older daughter couldn't go visit her friend in the neighborhood without fear, you want a rectal scan too? What else you need? What else do you need from me? That is the question that I would be asking at this time. Because like I said, great success requires great sacrifice. And we have to be willing to sacrifice some things if we want to see murder rate come down to the levels where it is acceptable, where we are living in a safe society. That's what's on